Hi, I'm Howard Lerner. I'm the Executive Director of the Environmental Law and Policy Center. We're here to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act. And this is a federal environmental law that has worked. It's a success story. I grew up in the Chicago area, and we all remember the times when steel mills and other industrial plants were pumping raw sewage and industrial waste right into Lake Michigan, and the lake was just yucky. It was polluted, it was contaminated. That sort of pollution has mostly stopped, and we're looking at cleaner lakes. It's a much better situation. But go back 50 years, it wasn't just Lake Michigan. The Cuyahoga River outside Cleveland in Ohio caught on fire, and that's a disgrace. Clean Water Act passed, and it said our lakes, our rivers, our waters should be fishable, swimmable. In other words, the fish you catch ought to be safe to eat, and you ought to be able to go to swim in the lakes and enjoy them. We've made a lot of progress. We still have a ways to go when it comes to safe, clean water. So that's why ELPC, for example, over the last year, we were in the courts enforcing the Clean Water Act with our colleagues, the Hoosier Environmental Council, against Cleveland Cliffs at its Burns Harbor Steel Mill in Northwest Indiana. They put in excessive amounts of ammonia and cyanide into Lake Michigan. They didn't tell anybody when they first did it, killed 3,000 fish, led to water intake pipes being closed off, beaches being closed. We got to keep Lake Michigan clean. Big lawsuit victory, Cleveland Cliffs at the Burns Harbor Steel Mill. They have to modernize the equipment, fix some of their operations, improve some of the stuff on site, so we hopefully don't have this sort of contamination before. We held them accountable and responsible. They paid a $3 million civil penalty, and they transferred 127 acres of land to a land trust, and it's going to go to expand the Indiana Dunes National Park. In Ohio, we're working on cleaning up Lake Erie still. Toxic algae in Lake Erie has been a national embarrassment, and it's made the lake less enjoyable for people. We have severe toxic algae blooms almost every summer. That's a matter of agricultural runoff of manure coming from the big animal feedlots, fertilizer where there's too much of it spread on corn and soy fields. It gets through the Maumee River into western Lake Erie, and there we have toxic algae in western Lake Erie. That's not acceptable. ELPC and our colleagues are in federal district court in the Northern District of Ohio and working hard to help clean it up. So let's celebrate the Clean Water Act. We've had a lot of progress over the last 50 years. It's working. Our lakes and rivers are getting cleaner. We're moving towards safer and cleaner water. But as Flint, Michigan showed us, western Lake Erie with toxic algae has showed us, and unfortunately we're seeing with some of the major businesses that emit pollution, we have a ways to go, and that's why ELPC is there, fighting in the courts of law and the courts of public opinion for safe, clean water. We're going to make sure that the Clean Water Act keeps working and works even better going forward. Take care, and thanks for joining us today.